What is happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back with a big update. And I think it's an update that people wanted to know, people were uncertain about. People wanted to know where we stood with a couple players, but definitely the manager, and all will be included in this video. Before I get going, please hit a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and of course, drop your comments below if they're sensible. Thank you to Pat, who's become a member of the channel. Much appreciated to all my existing members. If you want to become a member of the channel, the link is in the description, and it just goes a long way for showing your support for me and the channel. Good morning. Yeah, good morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are around the world. You know how it goes. Good morning to Craig. John saying, well, I never must be the 90 points trophy we won. Much appreciate the hard work you put in. No problem, man. And listen, if you haven't already, I'm not going to go over a lot of old topics, quite frankly, because we did a real in-depth season review yesterday. If you haven't caught the season review, it's already done. I did that with Connor of One Leeds, as I'm sure everyone knows him. So please go back and watch that if you want more in-depth stuff in regards to that. And I also put out a video on my opinion, and I'm sure I made it clear in the video, because if I report on it, I would have put the report up saying that we're linked with Sammy Schmadix. But it is my opinion that I think that we should look into him, especially if he is a reasonable price. We're going to get through the article in a bit. We are going to be trading players this summer, so we're going to need to get goals from somewhere. And listen, he's an attacking midfielder, a good age at championship level, and he knows where the goal is. Got that dog in him too, which we do lack in the team. And if the price is right, I think it's worth a look. But that's just from my opinion. I've done a video on that. Please go and watch that from the channel as well. Morning to everyone. Yeah, morning, and Katrina as well. So yeah, look, let's get into it, because Paraag Marathe has spoken, and he's clarified a few things. And listen, this for me is where all the manager talk ends, and because the reason why, it's just no point talking about it. So we can talk about it in this video, and this even affects the keep sell bench video that I'm about to do. I don't know if I'm going to do that later today or if I'm going to do that tomorrow. We'll see. Just keep a notification bell on the channel. You know when I'm going live, and you can join me for that and have your input with that. But now we know this, and Paraag has made it crystal clear that at the start of the 24-25 season, Daniel Farke will be the Leeds United manager. So now, for all the talk that we've spoken about, listen, this one was a popular name, Steve Cooper. Well, according to David Ornstein, he's in contention for a Premier League job. So the more likelihood is that he wouldn't have even come here anyway. And that was a big thing for me in terms of, if you're going to sack Daniel Farke, you have to have somebody with pedigree to come in. I don't want somebody who's been on the championship merry-go-round. I also get the point that he did fail with this team wholeheartedly. He did. But then there's also the second point of, will he get it done in the second season? And I did say that I think the 49ers will be looking at it this way, in that the teams that are coming down are nowhere near as strong as Leicester and Southampton. They're just not. I don't know if Luton are even going to be in the mix. Alfie Doughty, one of their best players, is being linked with a Premier League move, which is no surprise to me. He was one of their standout players. Burnley are coming down. We don't know what, flux situation they're going to be in. Sheffield United are kind of rebuilding as well. So there is a big chance, if we keep a few of our better players and add to it in the more important positions, that they feel that Daniel Farke could get the job done. Now, I get the whole argument. If he messes this up and say October, November, we're nowhere near the top two, then it's a wasted preseason. I get all that. The thing for me is that there's no point talking about it anymore, because Paraag has said that he's staying. So Mad Mick, who's on this channel, no point replying to everyone's Farke comments and saying he's a terrible manager. It doesn't look good anymore. You're just going to have to come up with solutions of what he could do better, Mad Mick, which I know you do sometimes. But yeah, there's just no point going on about it anymore, because Daniel Farke is the man in charge. What are you guys thinking about that? Gabo here saying, bad news. I think we should have had a change of manager. Too many errors made. And I don't disagree. Listen, we went through it in the season review yesterday, and when you listen to it back, and I didn't listen to it in full, but there was a few positives that were mentioned. I always open with the positives, but then there was a lot of things that hamstrung us, through the season. But then again, that's where I go with recruitment. Do the 49ers, and again, that goes into my keep sell bench video that's upcoming. Does that mean the 49ers now give Daniel Farke more players that he wants? Because quite clearly he did not fancy Gilhart, Creswell, to a point Joseph, which is it's insane to me. I told you yesterday he should do jail time for that. But do they supplement him with more players that he will use earlier in games where he feels he can trust them? Because if not, that will bite him in the backside again next season. Because when we came down to the running in the season, because players like Creswell, Joseph, and everyone else were just so cold and lacking match fitness, we couldn't use them from the start. It would have looked insane. So hopefully he learns from this season. I know he's stubborn, but that's all we can do now. We can only hope. We're only fans, people. We cannot get the manager out. You can't just say, no, Steve Cooper, you're not going to the Premier League. You're coming here. We're just fans, I'm afraid. Lee Golder, if we're mid-table 10 games into next season, do you think the 49ers will accept that? Well, look, let's read Parag's statement. No. Let me get a few more of your comments before we get to Parag's statement. Matt Goodall saying happy with Farke, but he must see progression with tactics, rotation, and faster tempo. 100. Get his players that he trusts, and let's see. And that's where we are now. That is Matt has just summed up exactly where we have to be. We literally have no choice. But I'm with Matt. We need to see faster tempo, 100%. Some of those games last season, even in our winning run, were hard to watch. And listen, let's face it, if we do lose one of Somerville or Georgie, or both, then he will have to implement a new tactic. He'll have no choice, literally. Andy here saying he has a number of flaws, but I can't see a better manager than Farke coming in. That's the issue. We just have to back him down, hope he replicates the Norwich promotion season. And that's it, Andy. It's all well and good, people saying. I mean, there was even a comment yesterday. Doesn't matter who comes in, just get rid of him. That's insane. And that's how we ended up in such a mess after the Jesse Marsh sacking. Remember, it was like 2-3 weeks before we got a coach because everybody was rejecting us. They didn't want to come. Iriola, was it Arnie Slot? There was a few names. If you go back to those times where you're that unprepared and you're not doing your due diligence, we're just doing no better than what we did under Radrizzani. So I'm 100% with that. And I always said with Danny Farke, give him, let's see what he does. But if there was an outstanding coach that the 49ers could attract, then I'm cool. Yeah. I'm not married to Daniel Farke. I'm not Daniel Farke FC as always. It's Leeds United and Leeds United only. Can he do it in the second season? I think that there is an outside chance. I think there is a good chance he could do it because the league is weaker. 100% is weaker, but we need to see the shape of the team that the 49ers will give us come the start of the season and the end of the transfer window. Richard saying, disappointed they are not looking at other managers. If I was Creswell and Joseph, I would start packing now. Yeah, and there is a point to that, isn't there, Richard? If you're not getting game time, I think Creswell's gone anyway. I think that's fairly obvious. Mateo Joseph is obviously the interesting one, but I just feel if he didn't trust him this season, I mean, when they talk in the summer, does he say to Mateo Joseph, I didn't utilize you the best? Actually, he would never say that, would he? He'll say, I'll probably give you more opportunity next season if you're to stay. Will that be enough after the debacle of this season? We'll have to wait and see, people. And I agree, Michael. Norwich can't dine out on that meal ticket forever. And I'm with you there. He even mentioned it when we lost the playoff final, But, I think he was more talking up that he is the man for the job. And so it is. Let's have a look. Is there any others? Guy Fawkes here saying, I think he gets you like promoted with the weakened league, but he's certainly not a Prem manager. Yeah, I do agree with that. There's nothing with Daniel Farke's tactics that tell me he's going to do well in the Prem. And I don't think 49ers would sack him if he does get a certain next season. But I think it's going to be a short trip in the Prem. I don't think he's got the tactics for that league. And I said, listen, this is nothing saying in hindsight just because we lost the playoff final. Please go back to the Daniel Farke Signs for Leeds United video. Go on. I said it there. Like I do have my reservations about him in the Premier League, and I think after you've seen this season, they're right to be there. But I'm saying at this level, I think he can get the job done. Jed saying if he stays, then the 49ers need to get him a 10 maestro. I think that will be it. And Hisham here saying finally catching you live. Well, hello Hisham. Morning, KG. I've been a bit split on DF after the end of season battle, but I'm glad that at least the club has clarified things and we can start rebuilding for next year. And I'm with that in terms of that, because it wasn't healthy. You can see in the comment sections, you can see all around people arguing, should Danny Farke stay? Should he go? This now puts that all to bed. So there's no point. You can argue about it, but you're just doing it you're doing it till you're blue in the face. There's just no point. So you need to adapt now and think, what can we do, or what should Leeds United do to help Daniel Farke attain promotion and winning in the top two? I don't even think second's acceptable. I'll be real. I'll be looking at the recruitment of Sheffield United and Burnley in particular. I don't see Luton doing much, but because they didn't do much in the Prem. And that's the only thing that makes me think, what are they going to invest heavily in the Championship after not even spending enough in the Prem? But we'll see. I'm going to be looking at their recruitment and seeing, oh, okay, they've strengthened. I mean, you even look at Burnley. I think they've even, by offering Charlie Taylor a new deal and, recalling Connor Roberts, those are their fullbacks. And in this division, that's pretty good. But I want to see the makeup of the rest of their team before I go, oh, Leeds could have a problem here. I think that we should be the strongest team in division. I mean, it doesn't mean much, but the bookmakers have already got us favourites. And I think that's for good reason as well. And I do think Daniel Farke helps that. I think his name does still carry weight in that sense. Let's have a look. Oh, Peter Doherty saying NFL owners never sack coaches, just players. So that I think that's why Farke stays. I don't know, Peter, man, because like people have said, if we are not doing well come, 10 games into the season, do they get an itchy finger and pull the trigger? We shall see. But you know what? Hopefully we don't get to that, people. Let's put it that way. Hopefully we don't get to that. And Aaron here saying any other coach in the league would use Joseph Creswell. Okay, so let's get into Paraag's statements. And he said, I've cut the bit out. This is from Phil Hayes' article, but it's from where a whole bunch of journalists were speaking to Paraag. He said he didn't sleep well after the playoff final. Understandable. But here, Danny Farke's future. His contract runs for another 3 years, and the club's performance in his first seasons in the eyes of Marathe and the 49ers group tick many boxes. Here we go, people. Take a shot if you're ready to hear it. 90 points in the regular campaign and a near miss in the playoff final. The board were also sympathetic how the machinations of last summer, a fairly frantic takeover leading to Farke's late arrival as manager, and complications in the transfer market caused by both ownership wrangling and relegation, made his job more difficult. So they've also mentioned that the start of the season again. Marathe confirmed yesterday that Farke would be staying on as manager. He says, Daniel's been fantastic. I'm excited about working with him again. We set out to do this. We had a long-term plan and a long-term commitment, not just me to him, but him to me. We've got a lot of work to do, and we have to see our plan through. He's been tremendous with a steady hand and the right temperament. I'm excited about getting it back at it with him. I feel confident about this season. So there you go. That is, you don't get any bigger endorsement than the guy that's seeing this all through. And we've heard Paraag say, if he feels that somebody's not doing their job properly, he will replace them. He will absolutely replace them. But listen, it's up for debate, of course, if you feel that he did his job properly or not. And we'll always have our opinion on that, but it's about what we do going forward now. Last season I know it's only a few days, gone, but it's in the rear view mirror. So now we have to look at the future now. Tanya here saying, need to work on set pieces, how to counter a low block. I can't take any more of the passes sideways and backwards. Yeah, there's all things for Farke to work on, and especially against, it wasn't just Southampton that put up a block against us in the playoff final. It was a majority of the bottom of the league teams, bar QPR, and there was another team that came out and played against us, and they were brilliant with it. But a majority of the teams will set up a low block, and obviously, depending on our personnel, it will probably happen again. So Daniel does need to come up with new plans, and as he likes to say, new solutions. Player sales. Here we go, people. Paraag conceded certain players will have to be sold in the forthcoming transfer window to keep Leeds accounts in good order and avoid a P&S breach. Championship Player of the Year, Crescencio Somerville, is one of the most likely to depart. And yeah, listen, I'm not going to get into, people talking about Somerville as if he's some scrub. and that he's no good and blah blah blah. Like I say, it's either a lack of knowledge, football knowledge, or copium that he's going to leave, because you wouldn't be talking like that. There's no one talking like that about Kamara, who is more of a prime, target to speak about in terms of not literally doing anything towards the latter half of the season. There's other players you could target, but because Somerville has been our best player this season and our best outlet overall, it's easy to just fire at Somerville, much like it was at Rafinha. I've spoken about this at length. I'm not going to go through it again, but we shall see where Somerville ends up and what price it is. I think that's going to be very interesting. Hearing 30 million. I think that's probably about right. It sucks though, because I think if we was in the Prem, or if it was our first year out of the Premier League, it would possibly be more. But maybe he hasn't done enough at the top level to acquire like the 40 that Harvey Barnes got. So yeah, it might be 30, 35 after add-ons. We'll have to wait and see, people. Obviously, this summer is going to be very, very busy. In terms of that, Marathe avoided about speaking at length about specific individuals and said, we are well capitalized from an investment standpoint. We have the funds to do what we need to do. The reality of being in the championship is that P&S plays a role. There will naturally need to be some trade-offs, which obviously means player sales and, other players coming in, but just not at those kind of prices. But we have a really good team, and it's not just outs, it's ins as well, looking at scouting opportunities for ourselves. We'll need to make some trade-offs because of P&S, but we have the investment commitment to do what we need to do. And he was asked if there'll be meaningful money available for fresh arrivals before the season, and he says that's right. So there you go. So we know about the accounts. We know about the 72 million that's due out at the end of June. In terms of that, it does seem like we're in good shape regardless. I do think there will be player sales, not obviously like the Somervilles. And we're seeing Archie Gray's name on the screen now. I'll get into that in just a moment. But I do think that a few of the loan players will be sold as well. Probably not as much as that we could have got if we were in the Prem and we had the hand, the stronger hand in terms of negotiations. We will have to probably accept a loss, and it's going to be eye-watering at some of the losses. But then we overpaid for some of those players. Like Brendan Aronson should never have cost 25 million. Like on any planet, he shouldn't have cost 25 million. So I think, if we sell him for 10 or 15, I mean, if we even get that, I think that would be brilliant, because I don't think he's that good. So I'm saying from a business standpoint, if you're selling him for that, it's going to hurt. But I do see a couple of them going back out on loan again, and we'll get into that in just a bit. Gavin saying if Dortmund come in for Archie, he'll be allowed to go for his footballing reasons. Well, it would be anybody, wouldn't it, Gavin? Whoever comes in for Archie, they will see a plan for him. They will see whether it's Dortmund, who I think he would have a path to get in first team 100%, or whether it's Liverpool, who probably see him as the next young jewel. I would hate to see him in a Liverpool shirt. You guys know how I feel about Liverpool Football Club. But as I've said before with Archie, if he is sold, it is pure profit, absolute pure profit against the books. And if the offer's good enough, you can imagine him going. Listen, yeah, Matt as well. Lots of club take loss on players. We are no different. Not ideal, but it's the reality. 100%, Matt. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And this is right as well. I think it's Maddie, but yeah, 49ers cleaned up the mess from the last owners, and there is that as well. In regards to Archie Gray, let's talk about him, because a lot of people are convinced he's going to be here next season. I do think there is a chance he will be here, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if he does get sold. And it's not just that I think that he should stay at Leeds because of the Gray heritage. No, I think another year would do him good, but I can also see him from his point of view looking at it going, I'm seeing Wharton do what he's doing for Palace. I'm seeing what other youngsters are doing, and I could do the same if I'm given that opportunity. So, if he believes in his ability, which he has done, which we've heard him say before, I can imagine him doing it that way. But at the same time, I can see him saying, look, I'll give you another year. If we don't go up this year, then please, let me go. Because I don't think this is not a player that I think is going to regress at all. I think it's only going to get better for him. I think he may even break his scoring duck for us next season if he stays. But yeah, listen, let's talk about what Marathe says. He was pressed on the future of Archie Gray. who is arguably worth more financially than any other player at Ellen Road, which is obviously very interesting when you consider Somerville and Jorginho are here. So that tells you about the value that Gray holds in the football world. He does have a contract, as we know, that he signed in January, and it doesn't have a release clause, which is good. That was something we was wondering when he signed the deal. If you remember when we did the Archie Gray signs a new contract video, does it have a release clause? Well, there it is. There isn't one. So we again can decide the transfer fee. Listen, Man City, Liverpool, and Tottenham are amongst the teams who first made overtures to Gray before he agreed his first contract in 2023. Marathe was asked if Gray would be off limits in the market, and Marathe says it's a little too early to answer specific questions. I can't talk on specific players right now. And just before I continue with that, that just says to you, I'm not going to promise the fan base, this passionate fan base of one of their own is going to stay. And then we get an unbelievable offer for him and we have to accept it. That's basically what he's doing there. It's not sitting on the fence. It's being smart with his answer. And I agree with him. Guy Fawkes, the Coppish lads yesterday spoke about buying him a loan amount. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me, man. I saw some of the prices quoted about fans think he'll cost. I'm like, I don't think you're living in the real world, but that's typical, big club things. They always think they can just poach players for the cheap, but then all their players are worth 60 million each. It's the typical thing. Gavin here saying Paraag being wise. If a 50 million offer comes in, he obviously goes. I think so, Gavin, and that's why it was a smart answer. Unlike, and I don't want to keep harping on the previous ownership, but they would have said, no way, he's not going anywhere. He's one of our own and all that malarkey. This is how you do business. This is how you answer it. Because no one then can go back to Paraag and say, you said Archie was going to stay. I'm so disappointed. No, he didn't say that. So continuing, Paraag continues, if I can paint the big picture, there are certain things we need to do and we'll make sure we're fully compliant with P&S, unlike other teams. There are certain trade-offs we have to make. We have to get to the drawing board and work out which moves we have to make. That's obviously a big part of this upcoming summer. It's going to be interesting, people. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, Archie's a tremendous player, but every season brings change. I can't yet comment, but we'll see what happens. Paraag Marathe admitted, this was something here. Marathe admitted, however, that fan sentiment could play a role in decisions taken over the next few months. Now, I thought that they weren't going to take in all of that stuff. So, hopefully they haven't heard that Pat Bamford is R9 and they keep him again, but you never know. But listen, he continues. You're thinking about the impact on and off the pitch. I just ask that the supporters trust that we have a plan and a process. Our commitment is to be among the best in the championship. So there you go. He's laid it out on the line there, hasn't he? He's absolutely laid it all out. There is no doubts in regards to what he's saying. Obviously, if you want the full article, please go to Phil Hayes' article or other journalists. I think a lot of them would have picked it up. It's just easy for me to pick it up after the Athletic site. But yeah, Comrade, you can take McTominay if you like. Hey, I think in the Championship, he would cook. You know what I mean? If he gets you 6-7 goals in the Prem, imagine what he's doing in the Championship. So, yeah. Gavin here, does Firpo just have 1 year left on his contract? He does, Gavin, and that's going to be something that they have to do. Do they try and cash in on Firpo in the summer, or do they let him stay for the year and then say goodbye? One thing I don't want to see is Firpo get a new deal. Oh, that would hurt me. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to see Firpo here long term. I preferably would sell him in the. Well, I'm spoiling my video here, but if we can move on from him, or maybe even keep him for this year in the Championship going forward, but you have to utilize him. We saw in a few games, I'm not just talking about the playoff final, you saw in a few games where he wasn't overlapping or helping out Somerville. And if he's not going to do that, he's not helping you defensively, not even one bit. We saw against poor teams in this division, Birmingham. I remember Birmingham in particular, Rotherham being another, where we'd have a possession of the ball, we lose it, and then Firpo's out of position, and he has to foul because he's not in position. He's got no positional awareness when it comes to defensive work. Absolutely none. But when it comes to going forward, especially in the Championship, he's probably worth keeping. I don't know. But if you could get better, of course, 100%, I would sell him. But if you can only get one more in and you have to keep Firpo, then so be it. But a new contract, bro. No, thank you, man. No, thank you. Slink for slink. I don't know what that means. I hope that's no. Hope that's not a slur. No Lee Furpo crap. Gavin says cash in 9.99. Tremendous. Andrew here saying cashing on Furpo now why stock's fairly high. Yeah, I'm with that. Listen, I'm not against it. I just would. What I don't want to see though is in this league, and I have to make that clear. If we're in the Prem, it's a sell all day long, twice on Sunday, no questions asked. But I don't want to see them let him go and then not bring in left backs in. We've already been there the past however many years. Let's not do it again. You know what I mean? Michael though saying Firpo keeping, but he can't only be a specialist left back. Yeah. Hey, listen, we'll save that for this keep sell bench video. We'll do that. I promise. We'll do it. I was going to do that now, but obviously this news came out this morning and this kind of supersedes it, and it kind of helps the keep sell bench video that I'll be doing anyway. Let's continue. PNS pressures. PNS pressures. Let's have a look. Okay, pressure is probably the wrong word, Parag says. Are we going to do what we need to do to make sure we are compliant? Absolutely. But everything we have to do, we've been contemplating for almost a year now, which is great. Recognizing some of the trade-offs we have to make and when we have to make them, we're prepared to make the moves we have to make. And we all know this, people. I think, just a reminder, the parachute payments do come down in terms of what we get from the Premier League. I think it's don't quote me on this, but I think it's a decrease of about 14%. Don't quote me on that number. I think I read that somewhere. And the 3-year loss limit we face in the championship, is coming down from 83 million over a 3-year cycle to 61. And that's what I'm talking about. When you stay in this league, the longer you do, everything gets tighter. And then you look at Norwich and West Brom, you become those teams. You become a solid team that is not spectacular anyway. No magic dust like we had with Somerville and Georgie for large parts of the season. Dan James as well at times. But you start to become a team that has to sell your assets. You can't pay incoming players as much as you did in the first year you came down. Everything gets tighter the longer you stay in this league. So that's why it's crucial. It's vital. I mean, it's important we got last season, but now we're on the new season. KG, come on. It's important that we come up the second season, 100%. Sam, it's not about jumping ship, and that, I mean, listen, a lot of fans are going to look at it that way, but there's players here that shouldn't be in this division. They shouldn't be here, and they're being courted by the clubs they're being courted by for a reason. So whether you think they're good or not, whether I think they're good or not, they're being courted by other clubs in higher leagues because they see something in them. They think that they're a piece of the jigsaw that can help them get some success somewhere. But for me, it's not jumping ship if you're talking about a Somerville, even Nanto or Georgie. If they manage to go now because the offers are too good and the opportunity is too good for them to go, I wouldn't expect them to stay in the championship for another year. Who wants to be here? A majority of us as fans don't want to be in this division. There's some that are happy to be here. That's another story. But players don't want to play in this league, people. That's no secret. It's no secret that players don't want to be in this division. So the fact that we got 1 year out of them, I think, is good. Now, honestly, one of the best piece of business, if we come by the end of this transfer window and Somerville's still here, even though he's our own player, that is an unbelievable bit of business. But I just don't see it happening. And yeah, Callum, again, and this is another factor people don't always put in. You don't want unhappy players, and that is a big thing. It can get the dressing room down, and we don't need that at this football club. This club always looks for any excuse for why we haven't succeeded, and that would probably be one where we had players here that didn't want to be here, and it affected the dressing room. Can already see the narrative happening. So, if players want to move on, let's grant their wishes and get the best money that we can in order to reinvest in this football team. Okay. Okay, listen. Having narrowly missed out on promotion, Marag faced questions about how crucial it was for United to find a way back into the Premier League at the second time of asking before financial hurdles become even steeper. And he replied, every year is critical. This past season was critical. We almost got there. I'm more confident now because we have more time to execute our plan and make sure this year's squad looks exactly how we want it to look. And he's just Maddie. Okay, Maddie. Thank you for that. In terms of what I've been saying all season long, he's confirmed it. This is the chairman talking. He knows it was critical. But I do think at this point, even though we probably won't have the out and out talent that we've had this season in terms of attacking players, and even when you look at Ampadu, Joe Roden, etc., even if the talent isn't as good, maybe they make the squad more complete so that we don't have three midfielders that are the same. You know, in Ampadu, when he was playing midfield, Ampadu, Gruev, Kamara, maybe now they get rid of one and bring in two attacking midfielders that will help us unlock the doors in those tight games. Maybe now they actually fix the fullback problem properly and get in two left backs that can do the job properly, right backs that Daniel Farke trusts and can get up and down properly. Maybe they actually make the squad better overall, and that's why we go up this season. That's the only way they're going to do it. They can't have gaping holes that we've had all season long. We can't go another year with having 160 corners without scoring a goal. You're going to have to address that with some specialists in there who hopefully are good players too. You're going to have some height in the team. You know, it's quite funny as well, but I didn't mention it in the Schmadix video. I did say he's a little guy, but I only said that because I know we don't have enough height in the team, but you have to go past that with Schmadix, you know, in terms of his attacking flair and the goals he will get. But we do need some height in there too. The fact that Farke said that we rely on Strauch and Sam Byram as set piece threats, that's a joke to me. That should not be the case. So there's things that they will have to look at to complete this squad. Yeah, exactly. Get midfielders that actually score. The fact that we had no goals from midfield people, that's a disgrace. Even defensive midfielders at the lower end of the team come up with one goal. And one goal, people. We didn't even get that. Ampadu, Gruev, Kamara, Gray, when he got to play midfield, none of them got a goal. That's incredible. It is actually incredible when you really deep it. The fact that you're even a defensive midfielder, I don't expect goals and assists from defensive midfielder. That's not their job, but they usually come up with something in the season, and we had nothing. So that is an area that we have to address. Returning loanees, which is obviously a subject that people are hot on, and I'm glad he addressed this as well. Yeah. Phil just giving a breakdown there. Block fans and exits. Okay, here it is. Here's an important part of it. Jack Harrison is one player with the right to go out on loan again this summer, but the Athletic has been told that too many O's, man. Only one other loan clause remains active. Those aside, the club will have significantly more control over outgoing business. And Paraag here, before we talk about that, fortunately, we don't have as many of those situations as we had last year. We also aren't in a race against time, because if you remember with that, it was the first out the door. Remember that? There was a loan going. A couple of days later, loan going, because there was only a certain amount of allocated slots before those loan clauses stopped. And we even saw Harrison, who people still love here, even though he was injured, make sure that he got his loan moved to Everton. So yeah, that's how much Jack Harrison cares about you guys loving him. And I say you guys because I don't love him. So there you go. And Paraag here continues. At this point last year, we were still 12 days away from finalizing the transaction to take over the club. The chemistry of the squad is important. Which players fit versus which don't. It was difficult last year having to deal with this, and it's not as difficult anymore. We're not sitting back as a passive club. I'm not willing to concede that there will or won't be profit on certain players. So there we are. Look, Paraag there. Yeah, that is true in regards to midfielders, Michael. Paraag there basically saying, even though we haven't got the strong hand when it comes to negotiation, that we're not going to be pushed around when it comes to certain valuations. Now, obviously, you can't overplay your hand and say, no, we're only accepting 25 million for Brendan Aronson. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think he's basically saying, well, we're not just going to sell him for 3 million or 5 million and hope for the best. And also, what do you guys think in regards to into Jack Harrison? I fully expect another Premier League team to take a chance on him. I don't think it will be Everton, just judging by the feedback from the fans that I've seen in regards to their impressions of Jack Harrison. Same as what I've said here about him. Works hard for the team, but doesn't do much going forward. And it's rare. It's sparing. It's just inconsistent. We know that though. But I do see another team taking a chance on him. Maybe it's one of the new promoted teams. Could be Ipswich. Yeah, I think Southampton, Leicester probably got their eyes on something better, maybe. But you can see that Leicester can't do no business. I don't think, can they? But I can see another Premier League team taking a chance. I'd be surprised if it was Everton. Matt here. I mean, yeah, you get it, Matt, don't you? Those kind of clubs, Oh, I don't know. Palace. Well, it depends, doesn't it? They got to see what happens with Elise and Eze. But I don't know about Palace. He doesn't strike me as a Palace player. But Fulham, I can definitely see that. He's got Fulham written all over him, Matt. You could be right there. Bricks on the Coast, tremendous. Could see Ipswich for Harrison. Yeah. And Ryan, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sounds like we're being run properly, which is nice. Yeah, it does. And we'll speak about that. I think it's really refreshing that we've had a chairman come out with this rather than I hope that we're in Europe in 5 years and not doing anything to get to Europe in 5 years. This is refreshing, isn't it, people? That's my opinion anyway. Yeah, Andy, not tricky. You don't have the tech for Palace. I didn't want to say it. You know what I'm trying to say. He doesn't have the tech for it. He's not tech. He doesn't have the skill set to be at Crystal Palace. We know they like the jugadors. They like people that are going to get people off their seats. And I'm afraid trapping a ball from out the air, that's very basic at Crystal Palace. So that's not going to impress people there. But yeah, I hear you. I can see this more. Nanto goes to Palace. I can definitely see that happening. I thought that last season, in fact, Bricks on the Coast, I thought Nanto at Palace just makes so much sense. And if they have to lose one of Eze Elise or both, which would be terrible for Palace because they've been brilliant under the new coach, he fits in at Palace 100%. Even Somerville, but I don't think Palace have got Somerville money. But I do think they probably got Nanto money. But yeah, in terms of that, yeah, in regards to Jack Harrison, people, do you guys see that the same as well? I'm just asking that and put it in the chat, the comments after. I do think that he's headed for a loan out. Not sure who the other loan player is going to be. Don't know who that is. I've got no idea. Is that I don't think it's going to be Mark Rucker. I'm just having a hard time thinking of who the other player is that's still got an active loan clause. I mean, just shows you how bad that bit of business was, by the way, regarding Harrison. Should have been sold for 25 to Leicester and say, here, have him suckers. Instead, we give him a new contract with 2 relegation loan clauses in there. Boy, honestly. Is it Rucker? Oh, okay, right. It is Rucker. Fair enough. Oh, it's been confirmed. Fair dues, yeah. So Mark Rucker, I think that he will eventually go out on loan. Maybe it's Betis again, maybe it's another Spanish club, but yeah, basically, people don't expect to see these two playing for Championship Leeds United next season. Transfer fee owed. Phil just saying here showed that 73 million is due in the 12 months that followed, and a further 160 million at later dates. We know that though everything is paid in Klarna to the most point. Paraag pointed out that since the end of the 22-23 period, Leeds have sold Lewis Sinistera and Tyler Adams to Bournemouth for fees worth more than 40 million combined. You've seen a lot of the numbers. He said the outbound transfer payments we have to make, they were already contemplated as we went about going through the takeover transaction. It was reflected in the acquisition. We inherited a credit card bill we had to take care of, and we and we made sure that we have the investment to be covered on that. So there you go, people. And I hope. The second thing is that what's not in those numbers, some of the inbound numbers, the net is already a little bit lower. We have what we need to be competitive. And I just hope that now alleviates people's fears, because I've seen it online. I'm not blind, but we're easy clickbait. We're easy clickbait when it comes to those financial people. All you have to do is throw in Leeds owe this amount of money, and you'll get a majority of the Leeds United fans that will interact with you and go, oh my God, are we finished? Are we finished? And it just gives them interaction. We're an easy club. We're like Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. We're like those clubs, with the fans that just get on people or interact with people that talk about the club. And there's been a lot of fear mongering in regards to that. So, Parag here has made it clear they knew about this coming into it when they acquired the club. I love that credit card thing, that stuck. But yeah, so we're in good shape, people. We are in good shape. Yeah, yeah. Andy here saying Harrison is squad filler. Nobody's shelling out good money for him. Yeah, I just he had the potential, Andy, and I'm again. I don't rewrite history. I thought when he was in his younger years, when he was on loan with us for about 3 years in a row from Man City, I thought he has got another level to go if he just found the consistency in his game. And you saw him in the summer; he did all the work. He do different training camps to try and get himself in better shape and improve his technique, but he's plateaued, and that's all right, man. Listen, not every player is going to get to the next level, no matter the work they put in, and he's just one of those players for me. But it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate for us because it means we're not going to get the value that I thought we could have got when we really should have picked up the 25 million. But yeah, um, but yeah, Michael, Cine and Adams just represent getting money back, no profit. Yeah, but yeah, he's not saying that it's profit, but he's saying it goes against some of the figures that keep on getting banded about online, which is correct, and that will obviously further get reduced as we sell a few more of our key assets this season, and hopefully some of the loan players that don't have the loan clauses in their contracts. So I do think we're in good shape. Chopper Dave here saying the way Farke does subs, I wouldn't mind seeing Harrison come on in the 80th minute and run like mad for a few minutes. Yeah, he'd probably do it more heat map than anybody else on the pitch in 10 minutes. The way Aronson does. That's all he did, didn't it? Just run around in the end. Um, Lee Goldup saying it's not just Leeds fans, it's fans of other clubs who love Leeds United clickbait. Yeah, Lee, that's what I'm saying. When you what I'm meant to say is that it's not just our fan base, it's other people, it's people that don't like us that will click on it and go, ha ha, Leeds are going under. They know it's easy money with clickbait when it comes to this football club. Yeah, absolutely right. Gavin, in regards to Harrison, he'd still fall over 10 times. You know what, Gavin? I think I got it up in the preview before, not preview, in the video before, talking about Brendan Harrison. It's when I brought up his 2 goals, 2 assists. But there was a video before where I spoke about Brendan Aronson and the fact that he even explained what he was doing. Because remember all the match reactions in terms of him. Why does he keep running into players and hoping to win free kicks? And like the referees would have marked his card and said, this guy's always running into people trying to get free kicks. Like the referees aren't stupid. And he said, well, I didn't hear him, but read it in the article. I did it to try and win free kicks. That just shows a lack of intelligence if you think that that's going to work over and over in the Premier League. Yeah, listen. And Ian, yeah, we do live rent free. We've seen it already. I mean, I had in my Insta DMs, Leeds are falling apart again, and ha ha ha, let's all laugh at Leeds. You get it all the time, and you saw with Derby, Derby, talking about playing us next season. Big fish, and I mean, we were big fish even with the recent Premier League champions Leicester being in this division. Now we are the big fish again in this league. I'm going to be very interested to see how many games we're on TV next season because we broke the record this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how many 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday we actually get. Um, Scott Lightning though saying he's calling it now. Aronson and Christensen would both score 5 goals each in the championship. Hmm. Well, I don't think we're going to get the opportunity. I think both will be going, hopefully. But yeah, no problem. Stadium plans. I mean, I can go through this if you. Okay, let's go. Promotion would have soared premium income overnight. We're gonna. This is about major investment on Ellen Road. Parag says we're still very much on the timeline to doing that. It's been reported that nothing's going to happen until we get to the Premier League. That's a little bit of a myth. All of the make ready work we have to do before shovels in the ground. It really didn't matter if we're in the Championship or the Premier League. There's still work being done and significant investment to line up all the things you do before you put a shovel in the ground. We'll be doing that anyway and continuing down that path. If you ask me a year from now, it might be a little more complicated because at that point, I'd be ready with a shovel, but everything is green lit as it would have been in either case. Obviously, finances do play a part in terms of that, but he's saying there that the plans to improve Ellen Road and everything else like that is going ahead in the immediate future, or in the near future, I should say. So again, if you're interested in all of that in terms of Ellen Road development, there you go. He's giving you the answer there. So Parag in this, that's the end of the quotes there. I think he's being very upfront. He's being honest where he can be, and he hasn't made any false promises in terms of anything to do with the player squad. I think that is the best way to handle it. I think he's handled it like every owner should, and I'm happy with it in terms of how he sounded. Because when I hear other owners talk, I talk about Darren McAntony and that from Peterborough. I talk about the ex Villa owner as well, or chairman, I should say, and they lay it out without giving you any fluff. They'll say that they hope to get somewhere, but you see that they're doing the investment, they're doing the work to get there. And Parag, listen, only if he backs this up with summer incomings that will supplement this team and make this team a force this season, that you go, he's backed up his words. I do think he's going to do that, though. I'm not seeing any reason to say that he's not going to do it, because I feel like they invested well last year, or invested enough last year. They just need to spread it out a little bit more. Direct is saying Rasmus isn't bad at championship level if people can stomach him back. I mean, listen, Direct, Rasmus, in turn, I don't listen. I think it's a moot point anyway. I don't think he's going to be here. The only thing with Rasmus, and maybe he gets the Junior Firpo thing in terms of he's coming down to the champ and looks better. The problem with Rasmus I had was that he looked like a knocker. You know, he looked like he was going to be that S-house that we needed at the back, bit of steel at the back. And the very first game he played set the tone for his whole tenure at Leeds. Shoved off the ball. It was against Wolves, if you remember. Absolutely made a fool of. And whenever I think of Rasmus, and whether right or wrong, I think of Bambi. He can barely run. He looks awkward. He looks like he runs with one leg. He's got no balance. And a guy that looks like him, I know it's not about looks, but his build, his body, he shouldn't be as weak as he is. And that was disappointing for me. I thought at least we were going to get a bit of steel from him. We didn't even get that. Yeah, Viking hype. You know what I'm saying? We thought we was getting a Viking, man. Bloody hell. I don't even want to tell you what we got. But you know what? It was nowhere near. We got sold a bad bill of goods, like with a few players. Yeah, bricks on the coast. Rasmus is a wing back and doesn't fit unless you play that system, which we don't. And we've seen that. We've got a wing back in Firpo, and that's proof itself. We don't play with wing backs. We were very narrow, which a lot of people don't want to talk about, but we played pretty much like Jesse Marsh for a few of these games. Everything was inverted, everything was central. The only person that would really get down the line is Dan James. And unfortunately, because of the incomplete profiles in the team, he wouldn't put bad crosses in. They would look bad because they don't hit anybody. But it's just that we didn't have the people in there to run in on them, or the height in there to get a header. So it wasn't Dan James's fault. Yeah, Rasmus. Yeah. But yeah, that's it with Rasmus. But I think again, if he does stay, we can have a further conversation about Rasmus and what he could possibly do in the champ. I'm just saying, people, and for the people that think he would do well in this league, don't hold your breath. I do see him being moved on again. I think he will actually get sold this summer. And let's face it, what was he, 10 million? I can see the 49ers recouping a fair bit of that for Rasmus. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I found, Nida. Again, it did terrify him. He's no different from a lot of players. We don't need that here. So yeah, that is it, people. I hope that's given people clarity. And listen, again, for the people that are unhappy that Farke is going to be here, I understand. I do get it. It's not like you're being unreasonable. So don't go, if people saying that you're mad just because we got 90 points, etc., that's just saying it without context. We did well for a portion, but then for the last 2-3 months of the season, 2 months, let's just say, it's terrible. Let's be real. Go back to the results. They were awful. And then the playoff final was an absolute dud. So I do understand. But the way I work is, me going on about it isn't going to do any good. So I'm just going to make solutions or suggest solutions, what I think would help Daniel Farke going forward. And that's all it can be. It's just fan opinion, people. That's all we are at the end of the day. We're just fans. Parag is the man in charge. He's in charge of the football club, and he's made a decision. Daniel Farke stays. Yeah, Jed here. Georgie, when he was out wide, looked good for cutbacks. Get a tenner, move him out there if Somerville goes. I'm a big look. I don't think we're going to see it, Jed, but I'm 100% in that camp that Jorginho should be on the right. I think he's way better out there. Centrally, he's obviously good centrally, but when he's out on the wing and taking 2-3 players out on the wing and then cutting inside, that's his strength. And listen, even if you want to go back to his YouTube videos of before we signed him, all his best work was cutting in. That was all his best work, and I would absolutely do that, and supplement that with a real 10, an attacking midfielder. 100% Jen, I'm with you. I just don't know if we're going to see it. Daniel Farke, he saw him as a striker uh for the main. Yeah, listen, he's not a striker. And look, and that's another thing. You know what? I'm going to say that for the keep sell bench video. Giving too much info here. Uh, Matt here saying 100% Geo wide. Callum O'Hare at 10. Yeah, Callum O'Hare had a mention on the Schmadix video. Um, I don't know because Coventry are pretty good at selling their best players, and we saw what Gyökeres went for. We saw what Gustavo Harmer went for. I would think that if they sold Harmer for around 15, or I think it was around 15 with add-ons, I should say, that Callum O'Hare would probably be the same. I don't know if he's worth that. I'll be real. I want more of a goal threat. Somebody actually said they would prefer more of a playmaker than a shadow striker. I disagree with that. I think we've got enough playmakers, or had enough playmakers. We had enough people that were always trying to look for that next pass, the perfect pass. I think we need more shooters. And some would argue, yes, I hear it. Yes, people. We have Joe Gelhart, we have Joseph, we have people that will shoot the ball, but we know they're not going to play. So I would prefer a more shoot first mentality player, someone that believes in their shot and will just do it rather than another playmaker. I do think another playmaker would be good, but I think we need a scoring midfielder more than anything. Oh, is he free? Oh my lord. I did not know, people. I did not know. My bad. Okay. Well, then that changes the whole conversation. Me interested. Me interested. I'm very interested. But what I will say is that Callum O'Hare, and the reason why I'm not going into too much is that I think a Premier League team's going to pick him up. And I think his agent will probably know that he's got Premier League interest. I did not realize it was free. I did think that maybe a Premier League team would take a punt on him anyway. Let me just while we're here, man, while we're live and direct. Yeah. Okay. Oh, he's not as young as I thought he was. He's not as young as I thought he was. I thought for some reason, I don't know what it is, people. I always thought he was like 23 or 24. He's actually 26. Now he's not old. I was only wrong because he's only just recently turned 26. So he's 25 this year. But yeah, I mean, just from what I've seen before, I think a team either that's been promoted or that's already in the Prem are going to take a chance. But 100%, if you could get him on a free, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer. Yeah, he is, and he is good at set pieces. Yeah, 100%. Paul here, are you confident after the interview? Yeah, I'm confident anyway. I'll be real with you. As long as we get the recruitment right, I'm not going to make any, I'm not going to keep you guessing. I think we go up next season, but we have to get the recruitment right. I think we'll be stronger than even some of the Premier League teams that are coming down. And I think that Farke, well, I'm hoping that Farke will get it right second time. You know, I know that, like I say, there's question marks about him, but I think he could be the man that gets the job done in the second year. You know what I mean? So yeah, I am feeling confident as long as we get business done in the correct manner. Nidar saying 26 is very old for our squad. Yeah, but as he in hindsight said though, Daniel Farke, we need more experience out of nowhere. Remember when we started to lose a few games? We could do more experience. So yeah, we shall see. Um, Matt here saying Carvalho included in Creed deal if he goes Liverpool is a must. Well, we don't know because I think I read, you don't know, but I read a report that Arnie Slot wants to look at Carvalho. Remember, it's not Jurgen Klopp anymore. It's going to be Arnie Slot involved. So he's going to probably take a look at all his players in preseason, see who stays, see who goes. But Carvalho at this level, it's cash money, isn't it? We saw what he did for Hull City. There's no reason to think he wouldn't do that. He's got a real good mentality as well, by the way. That's not even in question for me, which is a lot of what I want this club to do as well. Check players' mentalities before you sign them. Talent is not enough. You have to have the mentality to play at this football club. It's different to a lot of football clubs. We've seen it again and again, and even this season. Um, Once we were in the driving seat in first place, we started to crumble a bit. So we need players with strong mentalities, and Carvalho definitely has that. But we need to see what Arnie Slot thinks of him first. So that would be a deal that wouldn't be done anytime soon, unless he already has a plan in his head of what he wants to get rid of. Maddie here saying, does the squad need to be bigger even though Farke doesn't rotate? I don't think so. I think we'll go with the same kind of amount of bodies that we had before. Look, I've already got like the graphic up for the keep sell bench, and I thought there was some players missing, but there really isn't. And I was like, is this player here? Is this player here? We don't use a lot of the team. Farke doesn't do it. So it doesn't make any sense to overbloat the squad. But then in that case, sell the players that you're not going to use and have a bench that you trust wholeheartedly. And of course, you can use some of the youth. There will be reserve players that you have to use at some points. But yeah, I don't think it requires having a squad of 25 or 26. It doesn't work that way. We've seen it this season, people. Yeah, exactly. That's just it. Bricks on the coast. Farke needs options to use off the bench as he had no trust. 100%. So people, I'm going to leave it there for this one. Hopefully now that answers every question in regards to the manager. We can move on, talk about solutions. I'm going to be back for a keep sell bench. I don't know if it's going to be today because I'm on with Connor on his channel later tonight. If it's not today, it will be tomorrow. Okay. But obviously, just keep your notification bell on if you want to join me live, give your input on the squad then, and we can go through it together. So listen, people, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Like the video before you go, and I'll see you in the next one, people. Peace out.